going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner.
Man, I'm confident in our offense.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube, and make sure to rate 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Today, we continue our countdown to camp and break down the running backs. PayPal, how are you feeling, my friend?
Doing great, Brad. Just my legs still hurt from, I had volleyball this week, still from the wedding. I'm still kind of sore.
You're so old.
Yeah, I'm so old now, Brad. Like I can feel my knee, after playing volleyball, sometimes I feel my knees a little bit, So, gosh, I'm just getting old, but man, I miss playing volleyball so much. Sand volleyball is like probably my favorite sport to play. Favorite sport to watch is the Chicago Bears, but
I'm curious if there was like a Bears show sand volleyball league, like 2-on-2s. I think we could take. I think we could probably take. I think everyone, honestly, like unless there's like the 2 pro athletes, like if there's like a 2 pro athlete show out there, then they might be able to take us. But
like bags or any like tailgating game. I mean, we got it. Like
I don't know about that. I ain't gonna.
Hey, I mean, we're we've been to a few Miller. I think that Miller Park a few times, but
I am not gonna plant my flag with that at all. I think that there's probably some good bag players out there for sure. But yeah. So like we said before, it is going to be running backs. Today, we're going to be breaking them down. And like always, we're breaking down departures, then also everybody from the running backs positions. And then we're breaking down over-unders. And then at the very end, we are closing it out with, did we get better as a team at the running back position? PayPal, let's get this show on the road with our departures, starting off with none other than David Montgomery and Darrynton Evans as the 2 big departures from this team. And also when just looking at the overall depth chart, really those were the only 2 big losses that we did have at the running back position. I guess, obviously, David Montgomery gone. What did you think of that departure?
Yeah, what a like sad departure when it first happened, and like leading up to it, we're like, we don't want him to go type of thing. Like, as long as he doesn't get paid a lot, like, we'll take him back. Like, he means so much to Chicago. And then now that the Lions have it, I don't know, you like, especially the Lions, I'm like, suck it, Lions. Like, you just got fooled. You got this running back that's not that good. Like, he only will give you like 4 yards, he'll just give you like 3 yards and that's it. Like, he can't run past like 10 yards.
Man. Yeah, I didn't know you had so much hate for David Montgomery.
Hey, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I loved him when he was on the Bears, but then I think about how frustrating it was just not to be able to get a big play. And his big plays were like, it might be like last year, it was 28 yards was his longest run. And then the year before that was 41, which it was like, all right, that's not that much for a explosive play. Like, and that only happened once of the season, where we had Khalil Herbert, where he's getting these 70 yard, he's getting 50 yard, he's getting these big explosive plays consistently. Where I am like, all right, like you guys can take Dave Montgomery.
And I will say too, because I know that there's people out there that are like, well, with this line, he's going to go absolutely insane. The Bears had a very good run blocking offensive line last year.
Yeah.
Credit to Morgan, the offensive line coach, and he still wasn't able to produce. Like, he was one of the worst running backs at a yard per carry. But I will give him credit, though. He is a good pass blocking back. And also, when I was rewatching some of the old games, PayPal, and the dude, like, yards after catch was crazy. Like, there were so many plays that we would throw him a screen and he would like break 5 tackles and then get a first down. And behind the line of script, it just seemed like when he would run Do you remember like in Madden where there's some animations where it just takes forever to break a tackle, but he breaks the tackle? That's David Montgomery when he's running the football, where he breaks tackles. He just doesn't move forward. And that's why you see here he is, good offensive line, good scheme, and still hardly kind of got to that 4 yards a carry. I wish him the best. I hope that he does well. I think a change in scenery will be good, but it just never seemed like he moved forward. And also, too, for anybody that wanted to pay him, look at the running back market still and see how many people are still out there. It's
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt's still available. There's still Dalvin Cook. There's so many running backs that are available. I'm glad we didn't pay him. I was shocked to see Darrington Evans go, but not so much after we like added the other running backs.
Yeah, yeah. Darrington Evans, he was a fun. There's a lot of. We should have like a show one of these times of like mention, preseason stars or something. Because Darrington Evans was one of those guys I loved watching him in preseason. Like I thought he did he make the team? I don't remember. Yeah, he did make the team.
He did, yeah.
And like it was like I was really excited to be like, this is gonna be like our breakout kind of player. Maybe like we'll have, get rid of Dave Montgomery, then have Khalil Herbert and
Really?
Darrington Evans.
You loved him
Yeah,
that
like
much.
I thought he was gonna really become like a solid guy on this team, and then
Yeah.
it happened with them.
I just liked him as a character. Like, I think that he would totally even do this show. And even though he's not on the Bears anymore, he just seems like a good dude. But yeah, not on the team anymore. And a big reason for that was we added a lot more talent at the running back position. The Bears picked up D'Onta Foreman. They also added Roschon Johnson and Travis Homer. So a lot more talent that we added. But we also have not mentioned one of the losses that the Bears ended up taking on, and that was we lost Trestan Ebner and we gained Cement Shoes Ebner over the course of the season.
Cement
For those
Shoes
that are new, welcome. Cement Shoes Ebner has been awarded the title of Cement Shoes because of his lack of speed and agility and burst, and quite frankly, just the ability to move forward and run the football. So Cement Shoes we acquired, but now he is the 5th running back on this depth chart, and we'll kind of break that down. But first, let's go to Herbert. PayPal, do you want to take Herbert or do you want to take Foreman? We didn't talk about this pre-show. What are you feeling?
I can take Herbert.
You want to take Herbert?
It's so funny how my it's weird. I've been I always shift like throughout, very very like high and lows Bears fan, very emotional Bears fan, where like I love Dave Montgomery and I didn't like Khalil Herbert, and now
You didn't like? Oh man.
and now I'm in love with Khalil Herbert. Like you really look at his stats, and like I was mentioning you earlier of like, Khalil Herbert had 129 carries and got 731 yards, while Dave Montgomery had 201 carries and 800 yards. So like he almost got as many yards as Dave Montgomery did in like 50 less, 70, 60, whatever you want to say, less carries, like averaging it out. Yeah, he had 5.7 yards per carry to Dave Montgomery's 4. So this guy, he gets the home run plays, and most importantly, Brad, he does the home run plays without losing the ball. I think that's the biggest thing for this team. He has not fumbled the ball yet. And I don't want to jinx him, but it's just it's crazy to me that he still hasn't done that. And it's just huge when a running back can do that and you can trust him with the ball. Just absolute amazing year last year with 5.7 yards per carry. And that's also with starting. I think, we kind of questioned him of can he be a starter? And once Dave Montgomery was injured for a few games, Khalil Herbert was still getting those 5.7 yards per carry games.
I think that's the big key piece too, is what does he do when he is the starter? And I'm looking at it, when he had 20 carries, 157 yards, 7.9 average, 2 catches for 12 yards, and then another game, 19 carries, 77 yards, that's 4.1 average, and a catch. right? And I think that's the biggest piece is the pass blocking. I think if he's able to pass block, this is someone that they are going to want to have out there as the starting guy because he's so smooth when he runs the football. Yet again, watching the tape again, the thing that he does is David Montgomery, I understand the fans of him. He's hard-nosed. He breaks tackles. He does everything that you ask. Khalil Herbert, there's nothing like there's no dancing. There's nothing like that. And I wish I would have grabbed this stat, but Khalil Herbert, Travis Homer, D'Onta Foreman are all some of the most efficient running backs. What does that mean? It means they don't dance in the backfield. They run straight. They take the least amount of yardage to go forward. That's what the Bears want in their running backs. That's what they get out of Khalil Herbert. And yeah, do you ultimately think he is going to be the number one? Or what do you think?
Yeah. I think that is the big thing is pass blocking. I know. Matt Eberflus, we talked about it a couple shows back of like he wanted to. He's like, yeah, the running back position. The big thing is not how they run the ball; it's how they pass block and protect
Yeah.
Justin Fields. So that's kind of something we've talked about of like, yeah, can a Roshan Johnson then step up just for his pass blocking? Or these other guys just because they can pass block better than Khalil Herbert because that was definitely his weakness. But hey, like another year, like he worked on his running. You could tell, like his first year he had 4.2 yard. His average was 4.2 yards per carry, up to 5.7. So you're hoping maybe he can improve then. Not work as much on his running or focus on running and work on his pass blocking this year.
Yeah, that's going to be the big one. And this guy, I think, is someone who might be trying to steal some of those carries away. And that's D'Onta Foreman, the former Panther, former Titan, former Colt, former Texan. He's played all over the place. But last year, the 29-year-old had 914 yards on the ground. That's better than both of our running backs, Montgomery and Khalil Herbert. So kind of crazy when you put it that way, where this guy had more running yards and very good success after Christian McCaffrey ended up leaving, but 73.1 overall PFF grade, very good. And I see PayPal, I kind of struggle with what is his role, right? And I think that what his role is if Khalil Herbert doesn't do as well as we'd like, or even a Roschon Johnson, who we haven't talked about, doesn't do what we expect him to do, essentially. I think that D'Onta Foreman we might just have like a 1A and a 1B type of running back, or maybe a true number one, number two, but number two getting a lot more carries. D'Onta Foreman does feel a little bit weird to me. He feels like the odd man out because he is a very big runner. Not saying he'd be cut, but we'll talk about cement shoes. If Ebner all of a sudden becomes amazing, then maybe. But I do think that the Bears are going to want to pound the rock. They're going to want to hit the holes. And Foreman, I think, does that. So I think they really do have a good two-headed duo when it comes to running the football.
Yeah, he's very reliable. I mean, yeah, he averaged 4.2 yards his first year, 4.3, 4.3 again, and 4.5. So he just is going to give you great yards, and does it at a low cost with minimal fumbles. I do like, yeah, I kind of struggle too with where he's going to fit, and that's where it seems like he will just kind of fit in. Maybe let Roshan Johnson grow throughout the year, and maybe we'll see Roshan Johnson's carries increase and D'Onta Foreman's kind of decrease throughout the year. Because yeah, he is 27. It's not like we're gonna have him for a long-term contract. I think too, just having a veteran is always nice having around these younger players.
And we haven't jumped to Travis Homer, but I think that's where you want to have four running backs on this roster. Homer's more of a third down guy, which bring up, but Foreman to me doesn't have as much upside as a third down player. as a homer because of the pass blocking. Like Foreman's not
Yeah.
known for being a receiver. He's known for being similar like Herbert, and that's what kind of like threw me off a little bit. Because it seems like there's somewhat redundancy between Herbert and Foreman. And yet again, Foreman, I totally did not update his size on this because I put 6'5", 240 on the graphic.
He is tall. He's 6 foot.
He is big. He
6
is
foot,
big.
230. He's 235, 6 feet.
Okay,
Like,
so it's pretty darn close.
yeah, like he is a big running back. And hey, he's from Texas. So hey, maybe help his, former, his collegiate Roschon Johnson.
So let's go over to Roschon then. So he is 6 foot. This guy's actually 6 foot, 219. So still a pretty big back. We selected him with the pick 115 in the 4th round. What else can you tell me about Roschon Johnson, PayPal?
Yeah, Roshan Johnson, man, he's kind of that. He was undershadowed from his other star, his other Texas star, but he's got the size, he's got the speed, which doesn't matter. I mean, he can run it straight, which is what we've talked about is what this offense wants. I mean, we don't want none of those guys like Dave Montgomery that just jukes to the side, and goes lateral. So he just looked great. He's full head of power whenever he runs. And there's just the Bears are just loving him this year because we saw for the Senior Bowl, he still kind of wanted to play even though he had a broken hand. And you could tell like his personality, he just loves football, and I think that just can take players that that they just huge in this league and allow them to develop.
Yeah, I think the big thing too, and it is that personality. It is also the potential for being a third down player. That's where to me, I think ultimately Roschon Johnson is not going to be the starter unless he just absolutely blows people away in camp. I do think that it's Herbert's job to lose, and that losing being his pass blocking. If he doesn't pass block, I could see the Bears being like, you're not going to be starting for us, because I still think he's going to get a lot of carries, but he's going to have a similar role to what he had last year, where they don't put him in pass blocking situations and have him more as a receiver. Roschon Johnson, bigger guy, can do it all if you really want him to. So I think if I'm Roschon Johnson, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take those third down snaps away from a Travis Homer, and being that reliable, like, you have to be a vet to understand how to do a lot of that stuff. But Roschon, good head on his shoulders, had a lot was asked of him at Texas to do things like that. Even though there was a Bijan Robinson, a lot of plays Roschon had to be that lead blocker, and that's where I think that he can kind of like get that niche and push some people around.
Yeah, he's definitely a guy I think we'll be having a lot of fun with this year, of keeping an eye on him, seeing his development, and kind of see, is he gonna kind of rise into one of these, like the second running back behind Khalil Herbert this year, as the year goes on. And I'm gonna have a lot of fun hearing the stories of, I get to see him just breaking machines in camp, or just doing all those things of like these high effort guys, and just doing all, because he's just a physical freak, So I'm so excited to just hear things and see his development.
And so now we're going on to the other person who, like I mentioned before, I think that I do think that Roschon Johnson is going to, I do ultimately think that these 4 running backs that we're going to talk about are going to make the roster. But I do think when we talk about playing time, Travis Homer, 5'10", 202, still very young, only 24 years old, signed a 2-year, $45 million deal. So $225 a year, but also good pass blocker, special teamer. And I think that's where Homer, I can't see getting removed. 2-year deal. They like him as a special teamer, as a blocker, as that true like Benny Cunningham. We'll bring him up. He's the Benny Cunningham, the special teams ace that we added in. And that's why, too, when I talk about a Foreman, if Johnson goes beast and like we talk about Ebner, what I like what the Bears are doing is we talk about this. The Eagles, they cut bait with people that don't look great. And that's what I think that they're going to do with Ebner and put him on the practice squad because he's just did not look cut out for the NFL. Now, I do know that this is also not about Ebner. This is supposed to be about Travis Homer, but I couldn't help myself. I just think that Homer is going to be that guy when he's out on the field. I don't think people are going to go crazy for, but he just brings some great depth at a cheap price at the position. That's really all that I can say about him. 5.5 career average, 4.48 40 time. So he's got the good speed, but I do think that when he was signed, it was a good shot. As soon as that happened, it was like Ebner. I think that he was the replacement, and it just confirmed that with the signing of Johnson.
Yeah, he never really ran too much on Seattle, which is surprising. You think with that injured of a running back room, you think he would have probably gotten some yard, so a lot more carries, but he's kind of hovering around 20 carries each year, which is probably just kind of end of the games type of thing. So he's definitely just fitting that special teams, gonna be blocking, not really getting any handoffs.
And I remember too, him coming out of Miami, he wasn't really that exciting. I remember watching his tape going, this guy just seems like he's going to be a special teamer. And that's what he's going to do. So PayPal, let's go to the last one. Mr. Cement Shoes himself, Cement Shoes Ebner. He really is the only backup running back that we kind of have on this roster. Do you think he makes the team? I didn't create a slide for him. Do you think he makes the team? Do you think he takes a jump? And I know that we joke about him, but in all seriousness, he did have like 2-point-something yards a carry. Look slow. Does he make the team?
I wish him all the best, Brad. I loved him when he was coming out of college because he was fun. It was like, yeah, we got him in the 6th round. It was like, oh, this guy, he's out of Baylor, so he's athletic, he's gonna be fast. And he was very fast on his highlight tapes. Like he was like that was not his issue, was being fast. There was a lot of other things. He kind of being a powerful runner. But
yeah,
he just looks like he's like, yeah, that's why we call him Cement Shoes. He just looks so slow, and he's only been kind of reserved to special teams and not even like kick returning and punt returning. We've tried him at that spot, but still he doesn't have explosiveness at all. Like, and I know we talked about pre-show of, did he have an injury or something?
Yeah.
Like, is there something that we don't know about where he got injured? Because he does not look like the player that we got on, maybe it's just the Baylor uniforms. Maybe they just make him look fast,
But for real, yeah, was it the Big 12 where it was like,
yeah,
they just can't tackle? Because like he does look so slow. That's the joke. But was he injured? Was he hurt? Yeah, 2.3 yards, and every time that he got the ball, and there's games too where I rewatch them, and you can tell when he gets the ball where you just go, why are we giving him the ball? And then Darrington Evans comes in, gets 4 yards, and then Ebner gets it. And I get the draft pick, right? I'm not faulting the pick for Ryan Poles. Yes, Ebner was not seen as someone who should have been drafted, but he took a flyer on someone that had big play potential and was hoping to tap into that. It just didn't pan out, or it's not panning out right now, right? Is he injured? Because I think that's the biggest thing. His athleticism that he showed on tape is not NFL quality, like just plain and simple, period. If he's injured, then you're hoping that you get that NFL quality, NFL speed out of him, and then he could be something. But what he's put on tape, everything screams to, this is someone that they planned on moving on from early, maybe stash on practice squad, if he's lucky and if he turns out.
Yeah, I think it is if he is lucky, because I think he doesn't have the potential. I think that's kind of the whole reason why you put people on your practice squad, or you might save him a roster spot is potential. And I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, he's 24, but it's like, all right, he's not going to get faster. At least he might. Who knows? But I don't see I don't see him being on this team. And if he is, good for him.
Yeah. Then he proved something that we just did not see last year.
And he earned his name. He earned his name. We'll call him.
We'll call him Trestan.
Let's call him Trestan.
Yeah, prove it, right? If you want to change the narrative, right? Like, because yeah, super slow out there. But let's go over to over-unders and PayPal. I'm gonna go first, I'll say. So the first over-under that we have is 1,000-yard rushers. Now, I have the line set at 0.5. Now, this is hard. Because are we going to have someone that rushes for over 1,000 yards? We had a lot of people that were close, including D'Onta Foreman last year. Now, the big question in my head is Khalil Herbert going to get enough carries to get 1,000 yards? Dude.
I mean, yeah. If he stays, Brad, at his 5.7 yards per carry, he would need 175 carries.
I literally go back and forth on this because I'm like, it could be yes. I'm gonna say no. Because I think
It's tough. I mean, Dave
I'm gonna go no. Yeah.
with injuries,
Yep.
with not playing a game and not kind of playing fully. I mean, that was the least amount of carries he had was last year with 201. And that was kind of easy for him to get. I mean, with how much we ran the ball. Getting 100, getting 200 carries for, and 5 yards per carry for Khalil Herbert.
I'm just going to go under. I'm going to say that we don't have a 1,000-yard rusher because we're just spreading the wealth. Because yet again, I look at D'Onta Foreman. I don't expect him to be cut. I think that because of that, he's going to snipe some carries, probably closer to the red zone, maybe even. And I think he's going to get close. I think he's going to get in the 900s. But yeah, I think that this is going to be sharing the wealth at the running back position. And I also saw, I think it was like an ESPN reporter that was saying he kind of like lowballed him, saying like 600 yards, which I thought was way too small. But they're going to have at least 2 running backs that are going to get a lot of carries. And then Johnson's going to be the big question mark. So that's where I think he's going to be super close, but maybe doesn't get it. But PayPal, total running back rushing yards. So the running backs had 1,650 rushing yards. Do you think they're going to go over that this year?
I believe so, Brad. I honestly could see our offense. I'm glad it's just running back yards. If it was like total rushing yards, I would be kind of, who knows? I think Justin Fields just helped so much with increasing our rushing yards numbers last year. I could see us increasing it, Brad. We're getting even a better offensive line than last year. We're having another year. Tevin Jenkins can play even better. Braxton Jones develops even more. Finally having a complete unit, hopefully this year. And that will help us with the running backs and with these new additions. And having Khalil Herbert running the ball a lot more, he's going to increase the numbers. So I like our chances and having more efficient running backs in the backfield. I think we're going to go over.
Awesome. So over 1,650. Now, next I have running back average 4.48. That's good. Like, that's a really good average, I feel, for average yards per carry. And that's the running back. So that doesn't factor in Justin Fields at all. Oh gosh. I think it's going to be around this, just for the sake, because I said under for the other one. I'm going to say over. Just because I think that this offensive line is going to be nuts when it comes to run blocking. The fear that I do have though with the offensive line though is even though that we have some good people that can run block, right? Still, that was his weak spot. And Cody Whitehair, can he control the line as the actual quarterback of the offensive line to make sure people are in the right spots? Those are just the two question marks that I do have. But that left side of the line, Braxton Jones and Tevin Jenkins, whew, just run it left and you'll get 7 yards of carry.
Yeah.
But for real, I think that they can get over that. But PayPal, let's go to the last one. Top 10 fantasy running backs. Are we going to have a top 10 fantasy running back this year? Lines at 0.5. You think so?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Khalil Herbert, top 10 running back. He's got everything to prove it. I mean, he's got the yards per carry. He can find the end zone. I truly, and he can also play in the backfield from a receiving standpoint. So that's receiving yards. That's if you're in your PPR league, that's awesome. So I like those odds.
Okay. I don't agree with that because I think like running backs, you get so many good people out there, or so many people that are kind of like those number one backs and I fear that D'Onta Foreman's going to steal some of those touchdowns from him too in the red zone. That's
True.
one of my big fears with it. And also Justin Fields, we know how he can run and then he kind of creates that second option. We'll see if they end up running that QB power. Hopefully it's not as much. But still, and also, you know what? I'm going to go back to my first one. I know that I'm not supposed to go back. Final answer, I'm going over 1,000 for Khalil Herbert. I'm changing that. And the reason why is I looked back at Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has gotten over 1,000 yards 3 times in the past 4 seasons. And that's what I kind of wanted to look at is from a Green Bay perspective, what have they done? And if they are going to be feeding him as that true number one guy and he gets that, I do think that he could get over 1,000. His efficiency probably goes back a little bit, but I do think that he could be someone, if given those carries, to really kind of take it to that next level. But PayPal, let's talk about the last bit. Did we get better with getting rid of David Montgomery?
Yes, we did.
You're gonna say yes?
We definitely got better. I can't say enough of just Dave Montgomery. It was awesome watching him play. I think he was a very complete back, which is definitely going to be missed of like, all right, we can just have him in and he'll get those gritty yards. And I kind of miss having that back because, we kind of talked about how, Dave Montgomery or D'Onta Foreman and Khalil Herbert almost like fit together, and we kind of needed that. We kind of need that like bigger running back that's that's just gonna run in the goal line. But also D'Onta Foreman is 6 foot 235, so he can ground and pound through the hole pretty darn good and just fall forward. So I'm not missing Dave Montgomery too much. Just from his yards per carry perspective.
Man, dude, I always feel like I hate on David Montgomery, but man, you took everything out on him on this episode. I want to break it down like player by player, just because I'm looking at we added Travis Homer, right? And Travis Homer versus a Darrington Evans. And I think that that's kind of a toss-up, but I do think that what Homer does do is he plays, I think when you're talking about scheme, Homer's better for the scheme fit because he is that third down running back. He's built to be a great pass blocker and be more of a third down guy. Then if I'm looking at Roschon Johnson versus Trestan Ebner, Roschon Johnson could do more and is the better prospect coming out of college. Upgrade, right? So you could argue from a backup perspective, we have 2 upgrades there. And then Khalil Herbert is still Khalil Herbert. So then you talk about D'Onta Foreman. I think this is a weird scenario because I think that we got better schematically, but I don't think that we got better from a talent perspective because you know, Montgomery could do so many things and you could put him in so many spots. So I guess if I have to, I'm going to go on the opposite. I'm going to say that we got worse. We got worse from a talent perspective, but from a scheme perspective, I think we got better. Does that even make sense?
Yes, I'm reading you, Brad.
Right?
Yeah, because Montgomery is talented, and yeah, he is very versatile. You know, like he is an every down back type of guy where we kind of lost that. And yeah, we kind of have now a running back room that works with Herbert of like, all right, he's not good at third downs because that's not really his thing with pass blocking. And I know he kind of is he's not really a receiving back. You never really see him like, all right, he's going out for a bunch of passes.
Yeah.
But he's not necessarily bad at it.
He's not Jordan Howard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's not even Dave Montgomery. I think he's very underrated with people don't think he's a receiver. Like you think of a quicker back, you know, as a receiving back, but Dave Montgomery could do it all. But yeah, I still think we got better as like an overall group. You know, we definitely, I think having that, you know, Dave Montgomery or Khalil Herbert as that primary runner, we saw the games when he did start of getting like six yards per carry. Like he was the workload. He's getting 20 yards per carry, and he did not, or 20 carries. He did not decline in his yards per carry. He actually went up. So that's something I'm looking forward to. More highlight plays from these this running back crew. And yeah, just these new guys kind of all fit a scheme except for D'Onta Foreman. That's the one we'll see how he turns out this year.
Yeah, really. You're not, because I think that Foreman, it's like I mentioned, he's so similar to what we have with Khalil Herbert. But right now, I'm trying to pull up his stats, like his game stats from 2021, because I remember, because for everyone that's like, well, you know, David Montgomery had Matt Nagy. Well, Khalil Herbert, let me see if I can even pull this up. When he started games back in 2021, here we go. He went against San Francisco, or he went against, let's see. He had 18 carries against the Vegas Raiders, who at that time were seemed pretty good. He had 4.2 yards a carry. Went against Green Bay, had 5.1 yards a carry. And then went against Tampa Bay, who very good defense, was also seen as one of the top run defenses, got 5.6 yards a carry, and then went against San Francisco, got 3.1, phenomenal defense, right? And I think that just kind of shows that is yet again the Matt Nagy offense that he was able to do some good work with. And I think overall, though, you just see the explosiveness, and rewatch the tape, rewatch the games. Whenever he's out there, he's flying through the holes. It's clear what the Bears want to do, and that's why I am so excited to see. I just want them to give Khalil Herbert a chance, see what the guy can do, and also I can't wait to see Roschon Johnson out there. So make sure that you stay tuned to our Countdown to Camp series where we break down every position. I hope you liked it. Comment down below, leave a like, and with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair, and you know that she's a bride.